4 days. That's how long Cursor existed as a public company before SpaceX moved to absorb it entirely. On June 12, 2026, Anysphere, the startup behind the AI-native code editor Cursor, debuted on the Nasdaq. By June 16th, SpaceX had signed a definitive merger agreement to acquire the company in an all-stock deal valued at approximately $60 billion. The tech press called it bewildering, a rocket company buying a code editor. But the people paying attention, the ones who understand what SpaceX actually builds, recognized this immediately for what it is: infrastructure acquisition. For anyone unfamiliar, Cursor is a fork of Microsoft's VS Code that integrates large language models directly into the development workflow. It doesn't just suggest the next line. It reasons across entire codebases, refactors functions, writes tests, and generates documentation, all from natural language prompts. Founded in 2022 by MIT graduates Michael Truell, Sawala Asif, Arvid Lundmark, and Aman Sanger, Anysphere grew from a small Cambridge operation to a company reportedly surpassing $100 million in annualized recurring revenue by early 2025. Their Series C that year valued the company at roughly $9 billion. The IPO priced significantly higher, and then SpaceX made its move before the first quarterly earnings call. To understand the shockwave, consider the battlefield. Microsoft owns both VS Code and GitHub Copilot, effectively controlling the two dominant layers of AI-assisted development. JetBrains maintains a loyal professional user base with its own AI assistant. Smaller entrants like Windsurf, acquired by OpenAI earlier in 2025, had already signaled that AI labs viewed code editors as strategic terrain. Cursor was the independent insurgent, loved by individual developers, growing fast in startup environments. Its neutrality, the ability to plug in models from Anthropic, OpenAI, or open-source alternatives, was a feature, not a limitation. That neutrality is now in question. SpaceX is not primarily a rocket company. It is a software company that happens to build rockets, satellites, and global communications infrastructure. Falcon 9's autonomous landing sequence, Starship's flight computer, Starlink's orbital management of nearly 7,000 satellites. All of this runs on proprietary software written by one of the most demanding engineering organizations on Earth. Every commit in those codebases carries life or death weight. Now imagine giving that engineering culture an AI coding tool trained not just on public GitHub repositories, but potentially on the most rigorously tested safety-critical code in the commercial space industry. SpaceX doesn't need Cursor to write blog platforms. It needs Cursor to accelerate the development of systems where failure means losing a $300 million vehicle or worse. The Musk ecosystem context is impossible to ignore.
xAI, Musk's artificial intelligence company, has been developing the Grok family of models. While SpaceX and xAI remain legally separate entities, they share a controlling figure and, according to multiple reports throughout 2025 and 2026, have explored technical collaboration. A Cursor powered by Grok models, fine-tuned on SpaceX and potentially Tesla engineering data, would represent something no competitor can replicate: a vertically integrated AI development environment purpose-built for hard tech engineering, not chatbot wrappers, not marketing copy generators. Code that controls physical systems in unforgiving environments. Whether this integration materializes remains speculative, but the strategic logic is difficult to dismiss. This is where the anxiety lives. Cursor's explosive growth came from individual developers and small teams who loved its speed, its model flexibility, and its independence from Microsoft's ecosystem. The community built around Cursor is fiercely loyal, and now fiercely nervous. The fear is straightforward: that Cursor's roadmap pivots toward enterprise and government contracts, that pricing restructures to favor large seat deployments, and that the indie-friendly ethos gets quietly suffocated by SpaceX's internal priorities. There's historical precedent for this concern. When large acquirers absorb developer tools, the community often pays the price. Anysphere's founders have made no detailed public statements about post-merger product direction as of this recording. That silence is itself a data point. SpaceX already holds billions in contracts with NASA, the Department of Defense, and the National Reconnaissance Office. Starshield, its classified satellite division, serves national security customers directly. An AI coding tool built within that security perimeter, potentially capable of operating in air-gapped environments, trained on ITAR-compliant codebases, and integrated into classified development workflows, has enormous value to government buyers. No competing IDE company currently offers anything close to this. If Cursor becomes the sanctioned AI development environment for defense-adjacent software, it doesn't just compete with VS Code and Copilot. It occupies a category they cannot enter without equivalent security clearances and infrastructure. Microsoft now faces a genuine strategic problem. VS Code is free and dominant, but its AI layer depends on OpenAI, a company facing its own structural turbulence. GitHub Copilot commands market share, but Cursor had been steadily pulling advanced users away. Google's investments in AI coding through Gemini integrations remain early stage. JetBrains, privately held and profitable, may become the last truly independent option for developers who want no affiliation with a Musk entity or a Microsoft entity. The IDE market just became a proxy war between the largest technology conglomerates on Earth. Developers are the territory.
3 things deserve close monitoring. First, model integration. If Cursor begins defaulting to Grok models or restricting third-party model access, the tool's core value proposition changes fundamentally. Second, training data. Any indication that proprietary SpaceX engineering data is being used to fine-tune Cursor's models would be unprecedented and would raise profound questions about competitive advantage and intellectual property. Third, the roadmap. Watch where hiring happens. Watch which features ship. If the next 12 months bring ITAR-compliant deployment modes and FedRAMP certification before they bring improvements for solo developers, the product's future audience will be clear. $60 billion for a code editor sounds absurd until you realize it was never about the editor. It's about controlling the interface between human intent and machine execution at the exact moment that interface becomes the most consequential bottleneck in engineering. SpaceX builds the hardware that leaves the planet. Now it owns the software layer where the code for that hardware gets written. Whether that consolidation serves developers or merely serves Musk's expanding empire is a question the market will answer, but only if people are paying attention.